Yes.
All right, I call to the meeting to order at 6:05. Any public comment? Nothing. Changes to the agenda?
So I have one ad, there's some building damage from a car that hit our building at some point in the last, it's minor damage, but just wanted to give you a quick update under new business on that. I hand wrote it. It was even after I printed the most recent agenda, so.
I guess I'll add, I don't want to, on a public complaint.
Under new business?
Yeah.
And then the only note I would make on the agenda is that we are, there's a PUC hearing, as you saw at the end of the, this meeting starts at 7 o'clock. So the hope is to get through the agenda before 7 o'clock.
Oh, that's on the screen.
There will be.
Someone else
Yeah.
gonna appear and.
Yeah, they're going to present to us. They'll know we're here as Jacksonville Electric, and that's about it. And thank you, Jen, for bringing that to my attention. I had not seen that yet, so I'm glad you
I
did.
don't even know. I'm looking.
Has everyone reviewed the minutes for September 9th?
I just have one comment. Under the VEPSA update and the ball lot charging.
Yep.
I mentioned to James that I feel a little bit uncomfortable being designated as one of the recipients of that. And what I am requesting is that my name be put in the pot with the remaining people and drawn out.
So I'll just update.
Okay.
I'll update the minutes saying after the meeting you voiced that concern, just so that it.
Right there,
I just don't like the way that looks.
right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm perfectly willing to accept that, but
Right.
with
Might
a
be drawn with
random
everybody
drawing.
else. I'll update that and send it to you, John, to make sure you link it. Unless you want to update it, but I figured I could probably do it.
Any other concerns or additions? Someone want to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Or no, as amended, corrected?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as corrected.
All in favor?
I
Right?
Aye.
No, I can't. I found it.
Who seconded?
Ken.
did.
Oh, I did.
I don't know how you want to work this now.
Hmm.
I don't know how you want to work this. Do you want to go through it or do you want?
I was gonna defer to you
Okay.
because
Sorry. It's a little bit of a change.
Yeah.
As I said, what I was finding, I am fine with publishing all those as many times as you want. This actually is more work for me, but I was finding it was difficult to explain where I was at in the report and kind of showing you where things were. So I thought this might be a better way of presenting it. Obviously, I will, during the pre-meeting packet, still send out all the advanced data, but it just saves on paper printing it twice. And So, sort for the case statement of cash, as of October 1st, we had $74,624 in our, checking account, or what we call our operating checking. We received $121,053.14 in payments and $30.86 in interest, and paid out $130,860.31 in checks and ACH payments. Our money market balance, it was $113,807.61. I can send you this all digitally too, if it helps, Jen. Might be easier for every minute's purposes.
So I'm summarizing. I'm
Okay.
basically gonna say that, we reviewed the financials memo summary,
Perfect.
because
It's already
basically we're
self-explanatory.
writing
Exactly.
what I've been writing.
Well, that's, you kind of gave me the idea because you were summarizing it really well, and I was like, I can do that. Okay. With $6,386.83 transferred for tree trimming. So that's money we put in. We did wind up taking out 18,000. This is with John's authority. We took out $18,000 towards the end of the month to be able to pay the VEPSA bill. So we paid the whole thing. We have since put that back into the money market. It was just the timing of everything. And bills were a little slow, or payments were a little slow coming in. That has been since paid back into the money market. And then as of today, I did transfer $28,977.73 to pay our property taxes on, which is listed on today's warrant. They're due on November 1st. That's something we've been saving up for in our money market, and now we're transferring it over to pay it. So our current balance for the operating checking account with that 28,000 we just transferred is $47,150.05. We have $2,425 in outstanding checks, and the money market has a balance as of today after that transfer of $102,829.88. For our debts, we have a current loan balance of $64,713.10 on the truck loan, and $607,092.79 on our VEPS loan. Again, that has not changed month over month. We've been able to pay our VEPS loan as needed. We're deferred interest only until July 1st, 2026, as mentioned in our last meeting. Accounts receivable, we round out August receiving $14,764.61 more than we billed out. So that was actually a really good month that we rounded out. That's mostly paying, people paying back their outstanding bills that they have. On September 16th, we billed $94,063.90 in electric bills. This is $1,225 more than we budgeted for in our revised budget. So far, we've collected $72,810.10 for the month. That is as of today. New bills are going out tomorrow, bills are due October 15th. New bills will go out on the 16th. So that's tomorrow. We're working through the solar issue, as mentioned last month. That's been going on since February. Initial estimates are looking like we owe about $19,000 in credit back to the customer. There's a little bit of adjusting there because we've billed since, so there's about $3,000 coming off of that, and another $3,000 will come off on the 16th. So they use about $3,000 a month. So it's a little lower, but total what we've accumulated for a cost on that was like $19,000. So just to give some perspective of how big of a solar issue that was.
How did that happen?
So when we were transferring to net metering with El Dorado, Barton was the guinea pig. And so Barton built net metering around El Dorado built net metering on what Barton does.
Yeah.
And when we took it on, it just was put in for Jacksonville. Well, what they neglected to figure out during the transition, including me, was that there is a customer who operates differently than anything Barton had. So it's a different circumstance. And so that we were just doing it our normal way, not realizing
And El Dorado had to make the adjustment.
El Dorado is still working on making that adjustment.
I mean, they do things differently.
So they didn't have group net metering is really what it is. So Purchase is set up as a group net meter, net metering account. So they literally, because they have solar fields that are not attached to a house, the behind the meter solar is what they call it. Most people at their house have their meter that comes from the grid, and then you have a solar meter that's behind that. And so what happens is you net it out at the end of the month. Well, Purchase is set up different. He has properties that have solar panels that aren't attached to a house. So we buy all the solar and then sell him power and have to do a blended rate on that. So it's just a different structure for how we calculate bills.
So that's part of our costs every month,
That is part of our, yeah, so they net
our
out.
cost of power.
Correct, but we're not actually paying him. So what happens is every month he has a certain amount he's used and a certain amount he's produced. It's almost always that he uses more than he produced. He uses more than he produces. So that's fine, except for the last 12 months, we've been billing him 100% of his power usage and not giving him credit for any of his solar. So that's why we owe him a credit, because he's paid for 8 months for something that he shouldn't have had to pay for.
Are we going to be able to handle giving it back, or is it going to be done as a credit?
I'm hoping credit.
Okay.
I'm hoping on bill credit. We are still in discussions with them. Mary, who's kind of his accountant, she is wanting to do it as a credit, but she said depending on how large it is, he may want it as cash. I anticipate he'll be fine with credit, but we'll find out as we progress. And that's one of the nice things about how long this is actually taking to fix is it gets smaller for the longer it takes. So hopefully we'll be down to about 10,000 and he'll just say, okay, just keep it as a credit. Because as I said, he's got usually a $3,500 electric bill every month. It's not, it's not a small electric bill. But the problem is we're not receiving that cash. So we've been actually a little low receivables wise because of that, just in that sense. So just something of note. Any other questions about that? Okay. In the tickler, we had $119,000, $324.15 in expenses. Big ticket items was a CDA of $51,402.26, payroll for $15,276, and Alpha Arbors for $17,000 last month. Those are all things that were on last month's expenses that we're just starting a new month. So we're just getting our October expenses.
What's the CEA?
That's our purchase power.
Okay.
That's what we pay PEPSA for buying power. And then receivables were down to $24,046.36 in our 30-day plus receivables. So as you know, that my goal was under 30. So we're doing very well there. That's what I have for a financial report.
Keep going.
Keep going. We're telling Amanda. She's doing great. She's doing really good. You guys like that setup?
Yeah.
Before I move on, I think it was a little bit more, you guys can focus more on what's actually being said and less on where to find it, is what I'm hoping. That's the goal. Tell me if you don't like it. Because as I said, it does take me more work to do it. So. The next thing is our payables. If you're good with that, Tyler.
You're all right.
For our payables, big. CED, we have a couple of things that we had to buy. That's just line supplies. That was about $4,700. One of those is one of those CED invoices was for transformers for the that's this one for those of you who are looking. So there's 2 transformers we had to buy for the AMI purchase. So that's what that is. Bucket truck rental from Greg, my mileage to PEPSA meeting. Mary Lee had some work that she had done contracted for us in like March for help when we were transitioning her out. And we've never paid her for that. She decided that it might be time to close that out since she hasn't done work in about 6 months for us. I agreed, so that was $200 that we owed her. Nimerick, we pay a yearly services fee to Nimerick. These are only 1,100. We're waiting on one other invoice. We used to pay $5,800 for Nimerick. I negotiated that down with them, saying we're only using 2 of their modules, and I said this is a little ridiculous. We're paying $5,800 for 2 modules. Can you lessen that? And they agreed to lessen it to 1,200, but we don't have that invoice yet, so that'll be added at the next bill, next one. But that's
Done a lot with like troubleshooting and stuff.
we don't because it's the GL.
No, I think we used to.
We used to. Well, for utility billing, we used to a lot. And I was like, we really don't use this anymore. Like we're doing general ledger and accounts payable. I mean, they're pretty straightforward. And so they were willing to bring that down, which is nice. Primer and Piper is our legal. Postmaster, just renewal of our post office box. SMR, equipment rental. This is when Rod's using his skid steer or excavator. This is mostly green road work, just finally coming in for work that we did in May through July. Town of Whitingham property tax bill. That's a big one, obviously. The Vermont energy efficiency utility, which is the Efficiency Vermont. As I mentioned, this was the one that our reports were really delayed coming from Steve. So we've been trying to play catch up. We have 2 months in here for May and June. We actually have all of them. We may, if we have some extra money, maybe ask you guys to pay a little bit more as we have it, because that we should be caught up, but we're right now in June still trying to get caught up through October. So that's something we may come back to you guys if we feel like we have the money for it. BLCT, this is our workers' comp and property casualty. You probably remember that there was one of these last month too. I am trying to do a little bit of digging as to why we get 2 of these and what the difference between the 2 is. But we did last year. I remember we got it last year, so I figured it's got to be right. But I need to do some digging and figure out why we're getting 2 $5,000 bills a month or a quarter. I'm sorry, a quarter in our utility.
Did you look into that? And something to do with insurance, but I think maybe refreshing your memory.
Yeah. The other thing is I had a company, not a company. Can't remember their name. New England NEPA has a branch that's separated off that does insurance assessments and support and help. And they're a company that I'm looking into, hopefully budgeting. It's $1,300 a year for membership. And as part of that membership, they come in to do an insurance audit and figure out how everything is set up. And are you missing anything? Do you have any gaps? And they also sell insurance. And they said they work with VLCT quite often. Actually, I think every other utility in the state of Vermont is part of it, and we're just not right now. So I'm hoping to budget $1,300 to help with that, and then we can ask some of these questions to them. But
You anticipate that'll reduce costs?
I anticipate it will either reduce costs or will support us in understanding where our gaps are. I'm not convinced that necessarily will reduce our costs, but I think so one of the questions I've been asking is, can we get insurance coverage for if somebody hits a pole that's uninsured, for example?
Yeah.
They might be able to find us insurance to do that. So I'm not going to guarantee that we'll save costs, but we might get better coverage that we don't otherwise have, is my hope from that. They do sell insurance as well. So if it's cheaper to go through them versus VLCT, we can do that as well. It just would all be part of the figuring out which makes the most sense. But they're nonprofit. We're already part of NEPA. So it makes sense, if that's an offering, then if we can take advantage of it, I think we should. Village Fuels. So we buy a lot of our paper products, for the office, from Village Fuel. I think you guys remember we used to put a tab at Village Fuel, but it was bigger because it was for fuel. I'm asking for like $100 petty cash so I can, when we buy cups and napkins and things like that from them, that we can just charge it off. If you guys say no, I'll figure out something different. But it's pretty convenient to be able to just walk over there when we're out of creamer or sugar or cups or whatever, to have just that. And that, I mean, that $100 would go a long way with that. And that would be a credit that's put on the account. There's an error on here. It says FMBO is $353 or $55. Oh, I'm sorry. I know what that is. I accidentally, when I was doing my payments last month to FMBO, as I said, the ACH, which is a little bit more to keep track of. We made a payment last month. You can see that was on 9/16 for $355. I accidentally made that as a double payment. So that was last month's payment. We paid it. We paid it again. So I added it to this AP here for $355. But then you'll see we have another one, 2 items down, that was $973. That's between the two, that's the total amount that's due this month. But we had already paid $355. So just be aware of that. That's why you're seeing the 2 different ones on 2 different dates. The reason that's so high is that's the NEPA trip to Burlington. The hotel room is the big thing. We also have some Cloudflare purchases and some other things like that. Northeast Delta Dental is the vision Amanda and I have, that you guys approved. Dental insurance, Deerfield Valley Communications is our internet, El Dorado mailings, Department of Taxes, BEPSA payment, and Wex Bank fuel purchases, hard hat, printer ink. We ordered some printer ink that we may need to return. It was a $59 printer ink. I'm not convinced it's going to work with our printer. It's one of those, off-brand printer inks, and I'm a little skeptical as to whether it's going to work in our printer. So if it doesn't work, we'll send it back. And I think that's it. Need a motion for that. Let's get it.
I make a motion, we approve the accounts payable.
I don't know, I'm just a little uncomfortable with the petty cash thing, but that's just me. I'm more conservative than convenient. And we have
So the other
water
option,
being purchased when, I don't know, it's just like all these little added things start to add up and then they become a big thing, but they're sifted throughout here. That's all. They get kind of filtered.
I mean, I could pay with a credit card and have it reimbursed through that.
They don't like credit cards.
Right. So that's the problem, is they would prefer it this way. But that would be an option to be able to buy it instead of giving them $100 in advance. We could do it that way.
Okay.
I'm okay with a petty cash of no more than $100.
Right. I mean, I think we used to do, it was before me, so I'm really not sure. Was it like 500 that they would do at a time over there for fuel? And I know you guys didn't like that, is what I've heard from Bud at least. And so I was trying to keep it low, low and
We went and
reasonable.
got the fuel card as
It's a way of not doing that anymore. Right, exactly. But in order for me to, I mean, if I ordered cups, I would have to buy like 7,000 at a time, kind of thing. And it would, I mean, I'm making, I mean, okay, so you'd have to order 300 at a time, probably more realistic. And it would, I mean, you'd be paying for 300 cups that would sit here for, I mean, it makes more sense to buy 1 tube of them that lasts us, half a year, in my opinion.
I tried to save you money by putting my name on one
Oh, no, Amanda would have thrown that away.
But it got thrown out.
How much of our cups at this shop?
I think she said it was $20 for like 50 something cups, something like that. So like, I don't know, 50 cents a piece. I don't know. I'd have to do the math. I forget exactly what she told me for the math. I forget. I can't remember exactly what she told me. I'd have to look it up.
I kind of remember it getting sort of difficult with they owed us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want like I don't know, the charge, like us having credit there and them owing.
Oh yeah, when it was Arm and John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember it being.
Yeah, that would be uncomfortable. That's a good point. I didn't thought about that. Luckily, they are not past due, and I don't think they ever would be with these guys. But it's a good point.
Because that's my concern.
Yep.
Also, would it be?
But it's, is it credit to them or just petty cash?
I have this made out as a check to them for
and
them to add it. I mean, I do
And
it
then
personally
to,
with them. They would
then
remove
running.
and we could even ask for that tab for our records
Yeah.
at the end. Say, can you give us
Yeah.
that page when it's done? And then we keep a record of it.
Yeah.
I think the auditor wanted that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And would it be like a monthly
No, that
or quarterly, like, no,
a
like
check-in of where we're at kind of thing.
Yeah.
We could do that.
where it's not quite reconciled
Right.
at a particular point in time,
Yep.
but we'll have
Yep.
a running
Absolutely.
update.
Yeah, I could do that. Figure out some way of
Yeah, there has to be an accounting of it somewhere.
right.
You have credit card, sorry, I missed that, credit card P1 and then credit card.
So this is the ACH thing. ACH, the biggest headache I think I've had since I've started here. So essentially what happened was we made a payment on the credit card for $355.20 last month. And then I made it again, not realizing that we had already paid it. Because it was a scheduled payment and then we didn't have it documented that we had already paid it. So I went back and looked, did we pay it? I didn't see it, so I paid it again. And then they both were taken out on the first. So 355, that 355 payment one you're seeing is a payment towards this month's statement, but we paid it on the 16th of last month. It was just an overpayment last month that's being credited towards this bill. But I had to account, we have to account for it somewhere, obviously, so we.
So the total credit card bill
was
$1,200,
$1,200.
and that accounts for all this stuff in here.
Yeah. You want me to go through it? So we have a hotel in Burlington for 2 nights. Again, this is in Burlington for $738. That Cloudflare for $81. That's for our website security. That's an annual fee. We had an Olive Garden in Burlington, $40. Royalton Pizza for $16. Hampton Inn. This is the one for the training, the vision training the meter training in St. Albans for $261. That was the one overnight reception 24/7, which is our Answering service for $39, UMA payment for $129.45. And then Adobe for Amanda's computer, Adobe Acrobat for $13.77, which a monthly expense.
We have not been mandated the meters, but we voted to go ahead with the smart meters. So I'm wondering is the state gonna help with anything for these smart meters that they are going to end up mandating eventually?
Yes, we have a grant for it's
Currently.
45%. It's not quite 50%, but it's almost 50% of the cost. So we have to be documenting everything that we spend money on and
Would this
submitting it.
training be part of it?
They're telling me travel is not included, which I'm arguing on. There's certain things that they're including and certain things that they're not. What it would include is we have a certain match that we have to contribute, and this would definitely count towards the match. We're going to be plenty of spending money for match. Like we're going to hit the number anyway for match. So it's not a huge thing. I told them I'm not going to DCU training. There was a DCU training that was a couple weeks ago. They moved to Northfield, which is great, but it's still 2.5 hours away, and it's a 2-day training. So I said we're not going to that. It just happened to align with. I was trying to get Dale to go to it. He had something else going on, and I offered to other people. They said they can't go, and I said then we can't do it. We'll have to have a training down here. But that I think they've heard us, both Ludlow and Jacksonville have both voiced that it's not really fair that we have to travel for everything. And the concern has been heard, and they're trying to schedule every train, like each utility gets its own training. Here's the DCU meter training. So going forward, the hope is that is going to cut down on some of these travel things, because it's been kind of crazy how much we've had to travel for it, especially to Swan. Literally about as far as you can get from here.
You'll get a maple leaf flag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, if I'm fine with removing the village fuel. We'll have to put it on a credit card is probably how I would do it. It's completely up to you how you want to do it, but I am more than happy to document it and give updates as needed, or if you want it monthly, quarterly, I'm fine with that. It's easy enough to do. So,
First and a second.
All in favor?
Right?
we'll pass that around. Payroll, we had 5 weeks of payroll this month. As I mentioned, the guys have been slowing down because we're not getting as much of the line extensions. So we're down $15,276.63. That's all broken down.
I move we approve the payroll warrant as presented.
Second,
Button up.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the payroll warrant has been approved as presented. Managers report.
This is a pretty quick report. Not a whole lot of major changes this month. Rate case. So we submitted the rate case. It has been opened an investigation. We expected that. The next step is scheduling a meeting to discuss timeline and figure out when everything was going to happen. They have, I think the word was deferred that meeting until a further date. That I haven't heard yet what that date is. It's not a huge concern. We're able to implement our rate. But it is I mean,
EPS Department of Public
part,
Service.
yep, exactly. So that is, I mean, just to give some perspective, last time when they opened the investigation, within 10 days, we had a meeting that's scheduled everything. We don't have a date at all on when that scheduling meeting is. So that 7 months for a rate case starts whenever that scheduling meeting happens. Right now, it just kind of sits out there. So that's just, we have to wait for the Department of Public Service to give us that date. AMI make ready is complete. We had one pole we had to replace. Other than that, everything was pretty straightforward. I'm not sure if you guys heard that the cell tower business we had in town years ago went out of business. We reused their conduit and junction boxes, so we were able to save money there, which was great. So we did that, and they're all done, ready for DCUs. I'm told the 10th of November is what I think he told me today. That the DCUs will come in, and that'll be, they said it's pretty easy to install those and then commission them, and then we'll be ready for meters sometime next year, probably. And power mapping, we had, so part of the AMI project is that we need to have maps that are up to date with where meters are located. So Empower came and remapped the Jacksonville grid, which is great. It was something that really badly needed to be done. Well, I mean, our maps weren't horrible. Ken Nolan did them, I guess when he was an intern in college. Somebody told us. So he was the one who did it most recently. So we updated the pole, it kind of had lines off the poles and things like that. But we were able to get everything cleaned up. It looks really great. And it's great to be able to follow everything back to the metering point at this point. And then we'll be able to do our quick and easy switch outs. So the big thing is ensuring that the map stays up to date going forward. I'm going to be working with the linemen to make sure that happens. They're going to have to tell me. I have new forms for them to fill out. If we place a new pole, what's the birth date on the pole? What's the pole number? So we have all that information. So that's in there. Tree trimming has started on Route 100. If you've gone towards Reedsboro, I'm sure you've noticed. We actually had a great work together with the state of Vermont to do quite a bit of tree trimming together. So they were doing traffic control and chipping for us while Nate did the cutting for us. So that was a pretty good way of getting things cleared out nicely and saving a little bit of money. He's got some issues with trucks right now that's kind of slowing him down a little bit, but he should be completed by the end of the year as required by our contracts. 2026 we'll be discussing a little bit later in the RFP meet for the meeting. Battery storage, no major updates. I'm getting a lot of information. I'm trying to figure out how to condense that information into something that's usable for you guys. It does look like there's a very easy path to a 7-year payback for a battery on our grid. So within 7 years, we'll have made the money back that we've invested in it. And right now, there's a federal grant of 40% for batteries. Batteries are still on the table from a federal perspective. It's solar that's been cut. And so it's a tax incentive, but we're tax free. So right now they're researching, can we get a direct pay as opposed to a tax incentive? So that's something we're waiting on, but no major updates for you guys on that. But it is still in the works. We did not receive the grant for the EV charger. The company is interested in working with EPSA. There's some discussion about them giving us the equipment for free, potentially, so that they can test their software. As I said, this is really the software company is trying to do it. But this was the EV charger we talked about putting out on our side of our building. We'll see how it all plays out. But there was $130,000 that was given out as part of that grant to, I think he said 19 applicants. And we applied for 60,000 of it. So just to give some perspective, it wasn't super surprising we didn't get it, but we didn't. Outages this month, Poverty Row, we got a call for no power. Upon arrival, there was power. I investigated that and everything was good. So that was great. Grid wide outage, I'm sure you guys all noticed on September 30th. This was actually Green Mountain Power's transition to the new 3-phase line they were doing. They did not realize they had a feeder connection that was connected to the wrong circuit, so they turned it on and it all went bad. Nothing we could really do about that. And then on Laurel Lake, we got a call, actually the fire department got a call for a broken neutral, a fire outlet. We went and investigated, and it was a broken neutral on the line that caused the fire. So since we had Green Mountain Power come out and fix that, it was the middle of the night. So I made the call, just call Green Mountain Power. They came out and fixed it, and we have since gone out and trimmed all the lines out there, redid the whole service line that burnt and everything, just to get it kind of cleaned up and better so it doesn't happen again. Line extensions, no major updates on that. So I'm just going to skip over them, and that's about it. Ready for tree trimming?
Yeah.
Just quick update, ethics training, just be aware, we still have to do it. VEPS to debt, no major changes. We're trying to figure out how in NIMRIC to roll our invoices that are payable into a long-term note, because we just did that on paper. We just need to figure out how in the system to acknowledge their invoices. We essentially paid them, but they didn't come out of cash. They came out of a long-term note, and we're trying to work with them on how to do it. Again, taking advantage of that subscription we paid for this year. So those are those two. For our RFPs for tree trimming, kind of reversed from last year, which is interesting. We received 2 bids. First is Alpha Arbor, who's currently doing our work for us at 110,000, 95 of which is tree trimming. The other 15 is traffic control. And then Haverluck submitted a bid for 72,000. 9,000 of that is traffic control, and 63,000 of it is tree trimming. They're both great companies. We've worked with both of them many, many times. I mean, I guess my recommendation would be go to the cheaper one. But that is up to you guys.
Why such a huge difference?
So there was a huge difference last year, but it was the opposite. It was,
Yeah.
Alpha Arbors was super cheap last year. He just bid it because he wanted the job. I think Trevor expected him to be super cheap again. And so he bid it cheap, and it wound up being that Nate went high this year. So I think they're kind of just going back and forth. I can tell you that Trevor is very interested in this one this year. I think he felt like it was kind of pulled out from underneath him last year. Not that he blamed us, but I think he wanted it last year, expected to get it, and it didn't happen. So I think he wanted to make sure he got it this year.
I have a feeling, well, yeah, that, yes. I'm thinking that Alpha Arbor kind of wanted to get their foot in the door and took a little bite to do it. And now feels like I don't know, maybe they're bidding where they need to be.
I think Nate's going to be very disappointed to not get it.
Yeah.
I will say that. I think he is expecting Trevor to be back up where he was. And I think last year was 129,000 is what Trevor bid. So I think Nate is still thinking, oh, this is still pretty good, but it's not.
It's hard to say with these guys because they purchased machinery and that might play into some of the bidding.
Correct. Well, that was Trevor last year had specifically bought a machine, or he was going to buy a machine to do it. I think this is going to solidify him buying that machine if he gets this, which is good, because it's going to make he anticipates that it'll be a much more efficient process if he buys the new machine, so he can do it faster.
Now, we had a conversation about flagging last year and whether we needed to actually have them use their own. Because it's cheaper for us to, but I don't know where we stand with that.
So I talked to both of them several times on it last year, and both of them said for us to get in the middle and try to coordinate would make things you'd almost pay more for them trying to coordinate with us than it would be for them to just coordinate it themselves and us pay for it. Trevor is using the company we've used in the past. Nate would be renting equipment to do traffic lights, kind of like what they're doing up here. So that's just the nature. Nate will be using that kind of equipment for later on in this, for 100. He has used it already once and will continue to use it. Trevor, I think, is just using actual flagging. So it's just kind of a difference of
There's a
technique.
huge difference in how flaggers operate.
It's Fidium's making that clear, isn't it?
I guess.
Yeah, that's been pretty rough.
Some of it look like that statue. The guy's just a silhouette,
We had a fire call, and one of them was laying in the back of his truck with his feet up, and it was actually right by your house. They were on both sides of the road, and we had to go up. And it was for a guy it was a bad call, so we were moving, and I think we scared him quite a bit. But yeah, they're pretty rough. They do both have their insurance liabilities submitted and up to date, and everything looks good there. Part of our bid was asking for references and everything like that, but I told them they didn't need to send them because they both worked with us. If it was a new company, I would ask for it. Or their own reference, in my opinion. And as I said, both companies are great to work with. I really think there was.
I'll make a motion that we award the bid to Haverlock.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna suggest we skip this for now, the next step, if that's okay. We'll go through a few other things and then come back to this. I just don't wanna be mid-conversation,
Right.
if that's okay. We do have a request. I didn't really know what to do with it, so I brought it to you guys. Twin Valley Youth Sports asked for a sponsorship from us. It's $600. I told her it was likely that we probably wouldn't, but that I would bring it to you guys. So I figured I'd bring it to you and see what you think.
I think that's an inappropriate request. It would be like them asking the Board of Selectmen
For the town to sponsor.
banner,
That was kind of my impression, but I figured I'd bring it to you in case, because I could see somebody
sympathetic,
Right.
what they're trying to
Right.
do.
using taxpayer.
Yeah.
The next thing I was asking, and we've discussed this a lot, line of credits. We have reached out to Community Bank. Now that we're kind of settled with our VEPSA payments and what we're going to be doing for payments, I think the next step would be to get a line of credit set up. Hopefully never use it, but it is something we should have lined up. So I reached out to Community Bank and said, can we figure out what that looks like, how much we could get, that kind of thing. They said about 100,000 is the expectation for $100,000 line of credit, which I think
They
makes
sent me a
sense.
break the other day that give me, that I had 250,000 credit.
There you go. You can buy a house.
So how am I spend it on? Or get divorced, I mean.
There you go. We've started that paperwork. It costs us, I think she said it's $250 a year for us to maintain that line of credit, just to be able to have it and available for us. So it wasn't crazy. I think it was a year. But obviously as things come together and we get actual documentation, we'll review it. But I wanted to see if you guys wanted to maybe appoint John to be authorized to approve that line of credit if it comes in, or if you'd rather bring it back to the board. I just didn't know what you guys want to do for next steps. It's completely up to you. But it's likely going to come in next week with the information that's in underwriting right now. So I anticipate it's going to come in pretty soon. It just didn't come in time for the meeting. So it's, again, completely up to you.
What's the anticipated need for a line?
So the way the other utilities are setting it up is the line of credit is being used as a when you're not getting enough from your receivables to pay your bills anymore, instead of calling VEPSA and saying we can't make your bills, you tap your line of credit. When you tap that line of credit, that's the immediate trigger. You need to put a rate case in. So that's what they're using it as. We're in a kind of unique position because the 12 utilities, there were only two or three of us that used VEPSA as our line of credit. The rest of them already had a line of credit set up, so they were able to use their line of credit, and it flagged that they needed to do a rate case.
Yeah.
VEPSA wants us to get a line of credit so we don't use them again.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the idea, is once we start seeing we're not paying our bills anymore, it's a red flag. We need to. So the hope is to never use it, but you're probably, use, let's say 20,000 over the course of 6 or 7 months while we get a rate case together and use it. Does that make sense to you?
It does. Does our money market kind of take the place of a line of credit now?
It can.
I mean, we shifted some funds.
We did shift, we kind of did it a little bit this month.
It
You're
has
correct.
in the past.
It
Always has in the past.
And I will tell you that from a auditor perspective, and from an auditor perspective and an accountant perspective, they would tell you that money market used first. If you expire your money market, that's when you tap a line of credit. If you tap the line of credit, it's like your last ditch. You have to do it. So yes, I agree completely with you. Use the money market first. But once you run out of, it's a cash flow, right? That's the whole idea, is to keep your cash flow good. So if you don't have cash, right now, we don't have anything. If you don't have cash, we don't have cash. And so this gives you a little bit of a buffer to be able to do that. So the question for you was, do you want me to bring that back to the whole board, or do you want to appoint John to work with me on that and be able to sign it? I didn't really know how you want to do that.
What's the amount of line of credit?
Right now, they're doing 100,000. And this would just be authorization for him to sign the documents to get that line of credit set up.
So if we already approve getting the line of credit, it's basically just a formality that
He signs
the documents.
And you're not making a motion to approve us to use it or anything.
Right.
It's just authorizing him to sign the documents that it can be here. Yeah.
Aren't you kind of in?
I figured as treasurer, it's kind of.
I'm okay. I'm comfortable with it.
Trying to think of like some kind of a stop, but
Like to not use the line of credit? Is that what you're thinking?
I understand the need, but I don't necessarily like putting money in the till, because it'll feel like it's there to be used. And we could end up, I don't know.
So you don't actually
I know you don't.
You don't actually receive the money, and you have to actually apply to use it. You're just automatically approved to use it. So the way
it's a pre-approval.
Exactly. It's a pre-approval for it.
You're paying how much it yields, right?
You have to pay for a maintenance fee that I think it's like $250 a year kind of thing. And then you pay. So if you don't use it, you still pay that fee. If you do use it, then you pay, I think it's 8% would be my guess. It'll depend on what the paperwork comes in as. But that's right around there between 7 and 8% right now. So again, hopefully we never use it, but Almost 7.
And, yeah,
1 minute.
and you said that, you said we used VEPSA as a line.
That's
of
essentially a
credit,
line of credit.
But we've already set up a payment plan with VEPSA,
So we've ended that line of credit now.
yes.
But that, in theory, instead of us using VEPSA to be delayed on bills, we would have financed ourselves. That's what they want.
Yeah,
It's what VEPSA wants and it's what the regulators want. They don't like this. What we did with VEPSA. I don't think they're gonna, it's gonna be a little rate case conversation that we're gonna have to do. We can come back to it. We have a,
let's bring that back to the board if you can.
I'm gonna recommend, we'll come back to it after this.
Okay,
Is that okay?
yeah,
Sorry.
I'd
I
like
would-
to make a motion that we recess this meeting until the conclusion of the Public Utilities Commission presentation.
second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
I'm gonna unmute and And do we need a motion coming out of recess?
I make a motion, we come out of recess at 8:09. And we were either at salary benefits review or.
We still need to award, I believe we still need to vote on awarding the RFP for tree trimming. I don't think,
I made a
Yeah.
motion.
did you? Okay, have we voted on it?
Yes.
I
We
thought we
did,
did.
okay. Oh, yeah, because we went on to the youth sports. I'm sorry, yes, we did. We went on to the youth sports and then line of credit authorization.
Right.
John made the motion, John seconded, all in favor.
Thank you.
So you made a motion to come out, I second.
All in favor of.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're out of recess.
You ready to be done, Jeff?
Yeah.
So we were talking about the line of credit authorization before. Evening.
And that was just a question of, do you want to go in front of the whole board or do you just want to approve John to sign it?
So. Are there any factors that like change the amount that it's due to just have that line of credit? Kind of like there is for a personal line of credit.
Yeah.
Where if you have a certain amount.
Yeah.
Going into a whatever account.
Yeah, so it's usually 3 months of aged receivables. So as unfortunately our age, or fortunately, whatever, however you want to take, our aged receivables have gone down quite a bit. So being 24,000, I think they're basing it on a $30,000 age receivable every month. So they're around 100,000,
So
90,000. But they put us in for 100,000 based on our historic amount that we've had.
So if we keep our balance in the money market or whatever, that fee is waived or.
No, oh, I see what you're saying. No, that fee is a flat fee. That's just like, if you ever take a credit card that has an annual fee, it's just like that.
And I was, cause there's a service fee or whatever for a personal line of
Right.
credit where,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
if you had a certain amount of money in your account,
Right.
they waived that
Yeah.
fee.
Unfortunately, I don't believe so. Be a question I can ask for sure. Just so that we have some answers on that.
Could also be something to strive for if we can get that fee
Right.
waived.
Yeah, and it's really when I reached out to our loan officer, I kind of just said, can you get me some information numbers wise of what we're like? I don't know enough about it. And so she was going to find out what we're eligible for, and then she'll probably come here. She tends to come here for the actual like the actual document signing. And she'll be able to give us a lot more information on. Have you met Diane, right? For
Yeah.
the truck, yeah. So she'll probably come here and actually give us information about it, talk us through the process, and she's very responsive when we call her for anything. She's been great. So.
I don't think I have any other. When is she likely just come by?
It's in underwriting right now. I think she was saying by the end of this week, it should be out of underwriting. So the expectation is sometime next week. And then from there, there might be some numbers, that we need to change or, whatever it is. But she put in for 100,000. So if they approve 100,000, it'd be dependent if we want to go more than that, but I don't really see a reason why we need to. So then we're just
Also,
next week we could sign, or we could,
depending on the amount of the line of credit, would that determine the yearly fee?
yes. So anything over 100,000, I forget what she told me the yearly fee was, but it was a big increase. I was surprised at how much it went up. So that's why we were trying to keep it below that 100,000, that 100,000 or less, number. It was pretty substantial change.
Okay. Can I just be notified?
Yeah, oh, I will. I can, if she comes up and has a
Maybe
meeting
have
with
a-
us, I think I can send out a, if you guys want to have a meeting, or you want to have,
Yeah.
a couple of you want to come. If you have more than 3 of you, we'll actually need to warn the meeting, but that's easy enough to do. I think it's great. Great idea.
Yeah, I'm just,
You have certain days that work for you, or would have to be at night?
no,
I think you should be okay with night.
no, I can leave work early.
Okay.
It's just,
So later afternoon, maybe
yeah,
would be better.
I guess my concern is that we're already working down a pretty large debt with BEPSA. And it, looks doable over the time that they gave us. We have an amount that we keep in our money market. We've been able to do that, sort of build it up a little bit. We wiped that out. And then now we're at a point where we need to start tapping into this line of credit. And that line of credit now needs to be paid back with the amount that we're owing BEPSA. And then we have nothing in our money market. So we go for a rate case. Well, at what point are we going to stop the bleed? That's kind of where my gut is. I get having a line of credit. I think it's great to have a line of credit. I hope we don't ever have to use it. I don't want to put ourselves in a place where if I don't know. That's
if we had,
just my feel. Like you give yourself a little bit of money, it feels like, oh well, there's money in the till. Let's tap into it. Let's use up our money market because we have that line of credit, and just rein in some of the spending is what I'm kind of like. Let's not. I don't know. As long as we can control ourselves,
if we had some sort of system in place that would,
if you can.
yeah, well, so what has our historically lowest amount of the money market been?
When I first started, it was, well, actually, no, it was high at that point because we actually had like 170,000 in it, but then we voted to move some of that around. Right now, I was trying to pull it up. I think it's like 61,000 of that money market is unallocated funds. There's some in there that is for tree trimming. That we've been putting in monthly, 11,000. So some of that is allocated for tree trimming. So there's like 61,000, I think is what my number was, somewhere in that range. Obviously, if tree trimming comes in lower than budget, I think we should take that money and unallocate it. But that's just to give some perspective of where we're at
So
now.
if we,
And the goal would be about 100,000, in my opinion.
we had something in place that was like, threw up red flags. If the money market goes below unallocated amount, not,
have a reserve amount that we have just in our minds.
Kind of say that, didn't we say that with like?
I don't know if we ever did it with the money market. In the operating, we said 10,000.
Okay.
No, nothing lower than 10,000. But I'm just
maybe I'm
I'm
pulling
not
something out of the
sure.
past
It could
where
be.
we were trying
I like that
no
idea.
lower than
though.
30,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
I think at one point we were saying like way a while back, I think it was like don't go under 100 because there was
Yeah.
a decent amount of money in there for a while.
Well, that's because did we have too many markets?
Well, no, this is years and years ago when
Oh,
we
okay.
had.
I think it's been, Kenny, didn't the money market always kind of, when I came on board, it was always about 130.
Yeah,
So if we can be like 50,000
Yeah.
unallocated.
Yep.
Then if it does, then we need to,
Can you go for a rate case? Well, you're anticipating that rate cases will happen every year, right?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't. Power costs are going up 5 to 8% every year, period. Without anything else increasing. 5% is a big number to not do a rate case with. At least what I'm being told is between now and 2035, 5 to 8% every year. And that's just power costs. That's not
Everything else.
cost of doing business. And that's state, I mean, that's every utility in the state of Vermont seeing. That's not just us. Doesn't matter who's buying the power. We're buying it as cheap as Green Mountain Power at this point. Buying it probably cheaper than Green Mountain Power.
That motion was
No.
second,
We don't have a motion, I
Yeah.
don't think, do we?
but we didn't have,
and then I,
Just a motion for John to
yes.
sign it or to bring it?
Kenny, second.
Oh, you. Damn,
Are you sure?
I got lost in that. You're
You just wanted that mouse to get going.
I don't have anything written down about it.
So we should probably make that motion again.
Alright, who wants to do it?
I make a motion that John oversees and signs the line of credit authorization. Someone second that? All in favor?
Right.
Aye. All right, congratulations. Let me know though.
Yeah, I'll let all of you know when that meeting is. So the next thing is, that was probably almost a year ago now. You guys appointed me to be on the VSPC board, the Vermont System Planning Committee. It's a Velco committee that you remember this whole thing. I go to the meetings virtually through a Teams meeting. There's actually one I think next week. So it's a quarterly meeting. And essentially we as Jacksonville have one vote at the table. So BEPSA as a whole has 12 votes. The problem is if I'm not there to vote, we lose the vote. It's the public power loses the vote. Green Mountain Power has, I think, 24 votes because of how much they own. It's all split up based on how much ownership they own. So it's important that we all have our vote present at every meeting. So last year when we appointed me to be on that committee, we also appointed an alternate of Sarah Braze, who is a BEPSA employee or was a BEPSA employee. She is now becoming the general manager at Hardwick Electric. So she is no longer at BEPSA. So they asked all of us to appoint John Abbott, who's the regulatory specialist at BEPSA, to be our second or our alternate representative. So he will be able to vote on our behalf when we're not present for whatever reason.
You ever voted against?
Oh, yes, we do. No, against BEPSA? No. Northfield's different. Northfield's kind of weird with how they do things. They have Green Mountain Power do all their work. They literally don't know their system at all. They have Green Mountain Power do everything. So anything that's related to anything with the system, they just let Green Mountain Power make the decision. We're a little different because we know our system better than Green Mountain Power does. So we, meaning Rod and Brandy, and they can make the decisions that Green Mountain Power doesn't even know about. So we're a little different from that perspective, but we're kind of weird because we also don't have a substation. So we don't get transmission. So we're making decisions that really have little impact on us. Because this is really at the transmission level. So yeah, they're interesting meetings. We don't really.
I was just wondering if there was ever a reason not to vote for an alternate that BEPSA puts
If there
forward.
was a reason, there would be more than just me having that reason, and we would probably tell them we need to have another meeting to discuss that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It would be, we can't make that decision right now. BEPSA's pretty cognizant of where we would stand versus where they shouldn't make that decision. And they're pretty good about coming to us and saying, no, this is a decision you need to make. Because the general managers speak up when that's the case.
All right. So do we need to make a motion?
The way I set it up was for you guys to sign it, as long as you guys are okay with that. It should be easy enough to do. Next thing that was brought to my attention by Laura was there was some concern about, well, should I let you present this, or do you want me to present it and you can tell me if I'm wrong?
No, I would just say that the current method, after I found out
Yeah.
that there was a stipend.
Yeah.
And I think it was like on the second month is when I'm like, well, when do we get
Because your expectation was every month there was a check.
I guess.
Whatever it was, yeah.
And the current method of payment right now, the stipend has a ramification. I've worked real hard to get assistance because I have income sensitivity on my taxes. Is my Medicare payment of $175 was a big deal. So because I qualified with my income,
Just before you continue, just remember it's recorded meeting.
then
I just wanted you to.
then it's taken care of. And then the pharmaceutical part of it that you have to have, V-Farm. And if you choose not to have it, there's a big penalty to pay. That was $50 a month. And now I'm paying $15. So if and I found out that because of all those, not expectations,
Required.
requirements, there's another word, levels of income, I can jeopardize all that.
Yeah.
And I can only earn $150 a month from after Social Security. So, if it's $60, if I was to get it paid every 2 months, I can get around that. But if I was gonna wait whenever I came on board,
Right.
July, maybe.
Yeah.
July, August, September, October, November, December, 6, so that's $360, and I don't know how the state finds out about stuff like that, but I weren't worth the risk. So I was wondering if I could have it, or if there was a new method to have it taken off my bill, as it being a credit on my electric bill here. And then there was some talk about, didn't know quite how to do that.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring it to the board first and see if there was other interest in that.
Right, I don't
my
know
first
how
thing.
anybody else feels about
And
when they.
the second thing, we'll have to take it to our attorney and just make sure that, or our auditors between the two, and make sure that
You give
things.
her that credit for $50 a meeting a month.
Well, so that's the other thing is we could write a check you know, we could do a check that's
Well, the other
every 2
thing that I
months.
remember you said too,
instead of-
when I first brought it up,
Right.
was that it was something to consider, so there wasn't big checks written out at the end
Right,
of the year.
smaller, yeah, smaller checks more often would be
Yeah.
fine. The only thing I would add, I'm okay with it otherwise, but it'd be very helpful if it could be the same for everybody.
that's
It's
what I
just,
think
it would
on
be
your
helpful if
circumstance.
we're, you know, just kind of keep, it's just easier to track if we know it's the same for everybody. I'm fine with, you know, I'm fine with anything that you guys want to do.
Where does it, I mean, it obviously says somewhere, that we get paid.
Yep.
Once a year.
Yes. I have to look. I believe it's in minutes. I do not believe it's in the charter.
Okay.
That's your question, I assume. I do not believe it says anywhere in the charter that it's once a year.
We have to make sure of that,
I will verify that.
but, if it's just in the minutes, I
You
don't
can just
see it.
override that,
It's
yeah.
a huge issue with that. And I'm not opposed to whatever type of method.
I mean, I could go every 2 months without any ramifications.
Right, that's, I'm thinking the options would be either every 2 months, do a check with everybody,
Yeah. And
or
then,
figure out how we can apply it to electric bills.
and I don't know.
Which I'm fine for too.
I would say, either way, I think it's the
Wouldn't
same.
that be nice to have?
I mean, it-
6,
It would be essentially the same thing as you cashing the check and bringing the money back to us
Yeah.
to put it on your bill. That's how it would be recorded. I just need to figure out from an auditor perspective how that
How to
needs
word
to be
it,
done.
So
And
these
if
were
we
just
can make
things that-
look legit. Because it is. I mean, we just need to make it look the way it needs to. And it may be that we write a check to ourselves for whatever the total amount is to be applied to these accounts for their check stipend. That might be how it is. It's just, I don't know.
Well, I
think
hope
that
you're
would
up for the challenge.
Oh, I just wanted to bring it back to the full board to figure out what the best option is so that we can pursue the right option.
Well, I was doing desk work and I'm like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get around this. And then you're here, everybody else is out and about,
Right, of
so.
course. Right.
Came and asked you.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great.
This is your third meeting.
I think July, August, September,
Did you stay for the June meeting?
July. No,
After
I
you went
had
here?
cold beer in the car and a place
That's
to
what I
go.
thought.
I had to
That's
go.
what I thought. Yeah, so this will be your fourth meeting.
Yeah, so it was July was the night of sitting over here and getting
Yeah.
appointed. So.
Oh, right.
And then I sat, so July, August, September, October, this is my fourth one.
So regardless, we would have to figure out how to defer payments or,
Yeah, what should be. fine.
or
We can
at
just-
least see how the state
Yeah.
views that, because you're still not making
You guys,
over that a
Right.
month.
the way this is,
Right.
you guys
It's
are.
just a collective.
Yeah, you
check.
guys are classified as contractors. So, but you're not gonna be paid enough to get a 1099.
Right.
So in theory,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
don't
just,
forget.
actually.
I
no.
just got nervous
But that
because
being said.
once you speak to them on the phone to explain something like this,
Correct.
you
Oh,
open up
yeah.
a can of worms and
Exactly.
it's just, it's too much beer involved. So anyway, I just appreciate the time, thought about it, and not to break up a current method of payment on how it's always been done, but it would be worth a shot to inquire.
Okay. So should we not vote on this until we figure out whether or not this
Yeah,
is?
I'm fine with that. Just if I can get a consensus of which way you want me to go, I can pursue which way
To me, it sounds like it's gonna be easier
just
to
to do
do
a check more often.
exactly.
Yeah. I agree.
Can
mean,
you,
cost of
Flying
each
both
check.
ways.
in that case, can you do a vote to authorize me to issue the checks every other month and get us caught up?
Okay.
However needs to be done for you, because it's probably gonna be do a check now and then we'll do a check in November,
Mhm, to
right?
go
Because
over
that would be different months to
Yeah.
get you caught up.
I mean, I'm only on board till June and if, you know, for reappoint,
Right.
whatever it's called, voting.
Right.
All right, so do you need a motion?
Yes. I think that would be a useful motion, and then we can
Yeah.
we can figure out how to do the checks at that point.
Okay, so I make a motion that we change the trustees minutes
Method,
method to once every 2 months.
of the stipend.
Is there anything else I need
Well,
to?
I think Jim's got to run that by the
I'll-
auditors.
Yeah,
I need to check it through the village charter. As long
And the
as
auditors too.
that one, I won't need to run by the auditors. They're fine with that.
That's
They don't
what-
care how often. They just care
Okay.
that it's done. If it was on the electric bill, I would have to run that through the auditor.
Yeah,
But just paying an extra, more payments, that's fine.
So I could,
barring any information that the charter brings up.
Correct.
Did this last time I was with James.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
You're
I had a
good.
little moment there. Is authorized to
Well,
well,
Dawn would be authorized because he's the one signing the checks.
on
Yeah, but
that the checks get made out to the trustees once every 2 months.
Perfect.
We need a second. Someone second that?
You got all that.
Cross out all half of what I said.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
Right. All right.
But if there's anything ever questionable, we do actually watch the meetings over again when we go through the minutes to make sure that. So if you're ever like, I don't get this, just you can leave it blank and we get.
You can say I don't get this.
thank you.
Questions. We didn't used to, but it really is helpful to rewatch the meeting.
Jen, did you have something that you wanted
Yeah,
to
did you want to do
add
the public comment now?
Public, yeah.
So I have one individual that has called me probably a total of 4 times. And I haven't responded to the last 2 calls. It was one right after the other, same sort of complaint of power outage. And not being able to get through. I don't know if it's what the difficulty is of not being able to get through for power outage. It could be just I don't know what the problem is, and I guess I'm just gonna say that I am getting a complaint from one individual, and as a trustee, I guess that's part of the job is to take on complaints. But I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that.
Is it a repeat? Same person?
It's the same person, and I think they just feel comfortable with me. As opposed to feeling comfortable with others. But I don't know if there's more public relations that we need to do with power outages. And I thought it was as simple as dialing 368-7010, hit number 1. But is there something more to it than that? That's causing complications, or is it just something that is, before I start to respond to the call, is there something more that I need to say that they, maybe you should try this, or you're running into this and I'm really sorry about that, but I don't know what the process is.
Yes. So I think I know I think I know who it is. The process is as simple as 70-10, 368-70-10,
Mhm.
option one.
Option one, okay.
We ran into some difficulties with our reception service
Okay.
that, so we have recording of our phone calls now. Because
Who called you?
of, no, oh no, we have the full transcripts. So we can actually see what was said to customers. This was the first outage that we've had the whole grid go out and we were able to hear the entire process. And our customers they know us, right? I mean, they know Amanda and I. We're the ones who work here. If you're calling, you're expecting Amanda or I. So people were calling, reporting an outage, and getting someone who clearly was not in our office.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of concerns about who they were talking to and whether or not it was truly Jacksonville Electric. And that was exasperated by the reception team telling customers when they asked, "Are you in the Jacksonville area?" The reception team was saying yes and blatantly lying to our customers. That when we heard this reported, obviously we had an immediate call with the outage, the receptionist, and said that's not acceptable. I mean, we are a small utility. Everybody knows who we are. You cannot be telling people you're in the Jacksonville office. Just explain you're a receptionist, that we're trying to deal with the problem, and just be aware that that this is a reception company, that when we have too much call volume, it goes to them. And that we're taking note of the outage and that we're trying to work on it right now. And then that outage, just so you know the process, I then get a text, Rod gets a text, and Amanda gets a text saying there's an outage, this is the location, this is the caller called, and this is what's going on. And then one of the three of us, typically me, goes out and finds out more about that problem. If it's immediate, we know what it is, or we have we're already working on it or something. Obviously, it's a little different, but calling Green Mountain Power if we need to, trying to troubleshoot what the level of problem is and figure it out. I think there was a lot of concern. We get a lot of people who ask for callbacks. Callbacks are almost impossible for us to do. If it's a long outage and we know it's going to be a long outage, I will come back here and call customers and say, hey, just so you're aware, I got your call. We're working on it. I don't have an estimate, or I do have an estimate of time. But that's typically something I'll do while guys are working on the lines. I've done that probably 3 or 4 times. But normally we're not going to do a call. But if it's a Green Mountain Power and we have 70 calls coming in for outages, I'm not going to call every one of them back. It just can't happen and tell them an estimate. It's really just our whole feeder line is down. We do post on Facebook that we have an outage and that we're aware of it and we're working on it. We also, if we can, we have a greeting message that says, thank you for calling Jacksonville Electric. Press 1 for outage, press 2 for customer service. In that recording, I update the recording to say we're aware of an outage on Green Road or a grid-wide outage. So the customers are aware that we have an outage, we're aware of it, we're working on it. Unfortunately, that takes a little time to get it updated. So we do our best to get that updated, but it depends. And then the other challenge is this was very evident in the last outage. We don't have power in the office. So when we're out, we're out. We have no way of answering phones. We have no way of doing anything on a computer. We're out. This is something we've obviously discussed before. Battery backup or a generator backup is just,
That's
cost.
because we switched over our phone service.
Well, we still won't have a computer or And if we were on DV fiber, you wouldn't have it either. You're correct that it is a voice over IP, but we'd only have it if we were on a landline consolidated.
There's a Vermont alert system.
Yes.
That wouldn't be of any help to us, would it?
I have access to it from the fire department, and the utilities all have access. It's really mostly, I mean, if we had a major outage, like we were out for days, like the big ice storm in 2018 or something, it might be worth doing some of that. But at that point, you're already activating emergency management through the town and county.
So it wouldn't be worth, and I don't know how that works.
It takes a lot of time. And that's
You have to sign up for it.
I'm already signed up.
Well,
Oh, to receive, yes, to
right.
receive.
So if a customer wanted to, I think I've signed up, but I don't think
So it's not, we're a small utility, right? There are like Ludlow and Stowe and quite a few of them that are switching to a company called NISC for their billing software. If we had more money or we're in a different position, I'd really look into it, but we just financially can't do it right now. But NISC has outage management as part of it. And it can text customers when there's an outage. We can literally send a blast out and say, hey, you have an outage at your house. This is how long we're expecting to take. And so you can do updates. There's also integrated outage maps that eventually we will get that anyway, the outage map side of it, with the smart metering and the GIS updates. That's all required by the state of Vermont at this point, is to transition towards that. So that's all coming. But NISC is a great software to integrate all that for the smaller utilities. It's just, we're not big enough to really afford that. I mean,
I think it's great that there's callbacks when it can be done.
Yeah.
I know when my mom would lose power, it was almost like not being able to breathe.
Yeah.
Because she's, is a senior. And even though I was in the home,
Yeah.
it was, kind of not so much panic time, but I want answers and I want them now, and I want my power back on. And it's, there's uber urgency when you're a senior. So, I appreciate that there are callbacks. I don't know if there's anything more that we could do, especially if there's 70 calls. There's not a whole lot you can do. I don't know, kind of.
And
Maybe there are people that you should call back.
there are certain people I will call back. If we get a customer who says they're on oxygen, they're a priority for me to call and say, this is, so there's certain, if I have the information, I will get it if I can. Unfortunately, like Green Mountain Power, if it's our feeder line, they won't tell me a time.
Yeah.
And so then it's tough because I don't know a time. And I'll call Nikki like that day. I called Nikki directly and I was like, what happened? And it was literally the two. They messed up with the transition of power to the new lines. But I mean, it's just it's tough. It's tough in a lot of cases. The one thing I will say is the feedback I've received from customers is they like calling Jacksonville and not getting that. You're not in our system. Who are you? You're able to give your information and leave it. The other feedback I get is people want callbacks, and it's just if it was during the day and Amanda was here and we had power, we could call people back. I mean, we could do that. It's just not the scenario we're in right now. And I've told I mean, this is
we don't have a Jacksonville Electric cell phone.
No.
All right.
I mean, I give people my cell phone. People can call me. I'm troubleshooting whatever the issue is.
Right.
If power goes out, my first thing is I got to figure out what's going on.
And if power goes out here, don't have service here.
Right.
Your Wi-Fi goes out.
So what I'm doing with Amanda, now this is our first outage where Amanda was here. What I'm doing with Amanda, I have power at my house because I have a power wall. So am working on getting her so she can go to my house if we get it, because that's what I do here. Is my immediate thing is go here to my house and get back on Wi-Fi and figure out what's going on. Is it Green Mountain Power? Is it us? What's happening? And so I'm trying to figure out the best way to transition her from here to my house. If that's happening, she can set up in our dining room.
So this is a conversation back to just a simple generator.
Potentially, but we would need it to be on a transfer switch, an automatic transfer switch.
Mhm.
So because the calls start coming in the minute so this is actually something we're applying for the passive grant for a generator. It's we're eligible for like $300. And you can't buy first aid kits, you can't buy safety hats, you can't buy safety vests, you can't buy, like, there's a list of any standard operating equipment you can't apply for. So one thing a generator, we can get $300, but we're going to have to pay $9,500. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much a generator with a transfer switch is, but they're usually not cheap.
My mom had a generator put in, an electrician put it in. It wasn't that much money.
No.
No.
So maybe that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I had a quote of 13,000 for my,
What does that to run a lot of things
So
though?
depends on what
I say, I guess we might,
If you're just running. a
it's really just that office even.
phone.
We don't need this room. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
that was not affordable.
no. But again, my problem with a portable would be, again, do I spend my
Somebody's gonna
time,
run it.
right? Do I spend my time looking at what the outage is, or do I spend my time setting up a generator to run a port? And that's, for me, I struggle with that. To me, the top priority when an outage goes in is figure out why that outage is there. And again, we can have different direction if that's what we want to do, but I got to figure out what resources we need to call in to get it fixed. But thank you. I'm pretty sure I know who you're calling about. It was one that, if it's who I'm thinking of, they were one of the people that were literally lied to straight up, and I was very upset.
Yeah.
Amanda was like, "You better take a minute before you call that company." I was not happy about that.
Okay.
That's really not
That makes
acceptable.
sense,
And I think she just wasn't comfortable giving information, so she was trying to get through, and there was nobody to give it to that she could trust to take it. And that to me is unacceptable. That's a failure on our part. And we needed to correct it. And I think we have. I love that we can hear those recordings because we can hear it now. We know what's going on. I'll be honest, that reception company is a cheap one. It's inexpensive. There are ones that are more expensive that are better, but I think that it works. We just need to give them direction. I said never lie to a customer. I don't care what you tell them. Do not lie to them. They know this is a small utility. I'd rather you tell them you don't know than lie to them. I don't.
Someone that does.
Yep. That was pretty. I was ripping that day. Anyway. Okay. The next thing, the other thing I added was the damage to the building. So the window furthest down, right underneath it, someone must have sideswiped our building. It's not a whole lot of damage. You can see kind of where they rubbed up against it and folded over our.
Is it aluminum siding?
Yeah, it's like sheet metal siding. There's other damage that has been there in the past. So I did call the police. I don't know the date it occurred. We have a hunch of what day, because that's when we noticed the plastic pieces on the ground, but we don't know the exact day. We called the police. The police said we can't really do anything. We'll, make note of it. We looked through the cameras that are next door. Nothing really found. So I guess my question for you is it worth? I say no, it's not worth fixing, but at the same time, I think we've said that a few times on that part of the building. There's some pretty decent damage at this point. So I just don't know at what point we should say, yeah, we want to fix it, or just, well, again, that would be an insurance claim in my opinion, but I just don't know. My hunch is if we made an insurance claim, the first thing they're going to say is, well, what are you going to do to protect yourself from happening again? I'll be honest, sitting there, I'm scared somebody's going to forget which one's gas and which one's brake and slam into the wall. We talk about it all the time because there are some old people in town that's happened at other places, and it's going to happen
My
eventually.
cousin did it.
Yeah, I mean, it just happens. And luckily we have concrete walls, so hopefully it wouldn't cause that much damage. But I was looking into, was there billards, however they bollards that we should put up or something. I anticipate you make an insurance claim, they're going to look for something like that. So I wanted to bring it to your attention. I don't know if it's worth it, but it has clearly happened multiple times based on the side of the building. And you should just be aware of it.
All right.
Last thing.
That it?
Last thing. I know nobody
Not
wants
dinner.
nobody wants to talk about it. You good, Jay?
I'm still working on my issue with my,
Oh, so
Your
I'll
building.
pause for a second.
I'll just write down.
Just say building was hit by somebody.
Building, okay. No insurance claim will be filed.
Yeah, I assume nobody wants to file an insurance claim, right? I think you just
So we know if
I think you're opening up
carpenter-
more of a can of worms than you're solving.
Filed, we will address.
I do think at some point it might be worth putting like a curb. Like a concrete curb
Fixing.
at the edge of the
Or
building
handrail along the edge.
or handrail. Yeah, just something that they hit that instead of the building. The only thing we gotta watch out for is the plow and V-Trans. You go too
I
close.
want to go
the
back to
road.
my thing for a second. You had magnets or something you were gonna have
Yeah.
made. Where's
I
that?
have not ordered them yet.
Is it
I-
on hold or
It
happening?
is kind of on hold. I'm still letting it percolate in my brain I know the concern is how to distribute them. One of the things that I've been thinking about is we're going to be putting door hangers on doors when we do AMI, the smart
Oh,
meters.
okay.
And so we are going to be physically going door to door. So maybe we can get a sticky thing that attaches to that.
Okay.
So I just haven't fully processed how to do it yet. And I know there was some concerns, so I figured I'd wait. I do want to order them because I think at the very least people can pick them up in the office when they're walking by. Because I think people like them. I don't think I think most people hold on to them. So, but we'll see.
Little magnetized thing, stick on the fridge.
Right, yeah. With this is your outage number,
And
they
we
used to do the
won't
911. Well,
lie, and we won't lie.
well,
If
these.
they do the phone number option 1, they might still get a line if nobody's here.
Right. Yeah, the hope would be that we can handle the calls, but
Yeah.
it's just they come in. You should hear, because we got a text for everybody who calls. You should hear my phone blow up, and I mean I can't put a phone call in. I can't because they go to my cell phone. Ping, 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 ping.
That's what they call blowing up the phone.
Exactly. I said, I know there's an outage. I'm already aware. So the next thing, last thing.
Stand up for a minute and retrieve my pen. There. Yep, now I can.
Keep them warm, Kenny?
Yeah, I'm warm.
Well, that's
Got it, well, I got to put it in the house, my hand was up there.
I've had to turn the heat on a couple times in here. My fingers get cold.
Walking it.
Typing.
I might just try out my brand new heat pump.
There you go.
Yes.
They can be expensive to run heat. Just warning you.
Worried about
Is
that
that from
light bill
that
now.
Jacksonville Electric Company?
What?
Is it because of the Jacksonville Electric
No, they're
Company?
just
You know
they're,
what?
they're
Check
expensive
once-
to heat with.
Oh.
That check every year at Christmas time, I give that to my wife for a Christmas present. What the hell are you gonna do now when you pay me every 2 months?
Right? You're gonna have to
Do
save
every
it
2
up.
months, Tell her to save.
Put it in a Christmas club.
So as you guys know, at the last board meeting, I gave you a outline of salary and benefits that we were, in my opinion, pretty far off from what average was. So I worked with Ken Nolan, and yeah, actually, we brought it up quite a few times at the a couple times at the directors meeting at VEPSA on how to transition. There were a couple things that were brought up that we could do. One of them was create a multi-year plan on how do we get Jacksonville back in line with what other utilities are doing. And then another thought was doing contracts if it made sense to do contracts where they're multi-year contracts. But the thought was, can we transition to where you should be, where we should be, from where we are currently? Because and this is because we're so off from the industry standard, we will struggle to find people to come work here. Of course, it's 2 positions, so that's not, but the thought is that we should probably, in order to get good, reliable help, use the opportunity that we have now with 2 good employees to begin to transition to something that makes more sense from an industry standard perspective. So what I did, I came up with what I would say is a first draft, potentially, of a multi-year plan to get to a point that makes sense. One big call out was healthcare. We're, I think, the only there's 2 utilities that pay 100% healthcare. Most utilities are around 90% coverage for healthcare. I actually suggested that we do 80%, just because of the position we're in financially. It made, I think that, and I'm the only one on healthcare, just so you know, at this point. Amanda doesn't take it, so I said do 80%. The other thing is they do it across the board for dental and vision. We also are paying 100% dental at this point. We could do 80% dental, and then vision employees are covering 100%. That was what we just decided on recently. And so I suggested that we transition to an 80% covered by the municipality versus 20% covered by the employee. VEMR's contribution, this is, there's one utility who pays 100% of the VEMR's. That's pretty irregular, but that, so I just kept it at the 7.25%, which is what VEMR's recommends. They say that's the employer contribution. That will go up progressively. We saw last meeting that there was a plan from VEMR's, from the Vermont Treasury, to increase that for both the employee and the employer. So that was included in there. Sponsored retirement plan. This was something I didn't realize how pretty much every other utility has a separate retirement plan that there's a match for that is separate from VEMR's. I was a little surprised by this, but we're pretty much the only ones who don't do it. So most of them are averaging around 10% match. On that, I suggested a 6%, but I also suggested delaying it until next year's rate case. So do nothing now, delay that for a year, till next year when we do our rate case. That would depend on how much employees are putting in too. The more employees put in, the more you have to pay. So that'd be up to 7,500. Life insurance and disability, every other utility does offer this. Again, it's just Amanda. We did look into this for all employees, and they pretty much said that that's not something they can do for employees who work in less than 20 hours a week. And I'm hearing that from other plans as well. If it's employee sponsored, they really need to be at least a minimum of half time there.
It'll be 30 hours usually.
Yeah. So I think we could do it for Amanda and I. And so those numbers are adjusted from what I had originally submitted. Those numbers are adjusted based on, so that $224 would just be for Amanda and I for life insurance, and $756 for disability. Sick time we currently have as needed. We don't really take sick time. I work from home if I'm sick, so unless I'm like in bed, so I put as needed. But if you guys want to do, I think as needed is kind of the standard across all utilities. There are a couple that have, if you have a union, obviously unions have set rates, but vacation time, we just say I have 3 weeks. Amanda has 2 weeks, I think is what we set up.
And you're secretary next week, aren't you?
I'm secretary next week.
Mhm.
I'm everything next week. It's going to be fun. So I put together a little recommendation for years of service increase that I think is industry standard for the most part. Those are obviously easily adjustable. But it does look like most people have 120 hours, which equals 5 weeks across the industry, which seems really high to me. I don't know what I would do with that much vacation time. And then rollover, I guess I didn't include the rollover in here, but rollover was 40 hours. So you could roll over a week per year. So you have to take everything except the rollover. If you don't use it, you lose it. Paid holidays, we have 13. I'm sorry, that's not supposed to be a percentage. That's supposed to be 12. The one that we have that others aren't offering is Juneteenth, and the only reason we have it, I did add it this year because it was when we don't have post office open or the bank open, there's really no point in being here. From that perspective. And so I think the other utilities are going to transition to this. I brought this up and they were all like, yeah, we're seeing the same thing. It's a struggle. When the post office and bank are closed, that's a lot of what you do in the office. Obviously outage comes in, something like that. I'm going. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting yesterday for Columbus Day. I went up and met with the Culver guys because they had some issues with the power lines there. So I work. It's just we're not in the office. Personal days again as needed. That's really just if there's a doctor's appointment, you go to funerals, things like that. Again, we don't really do it that often. So if we want to change it, we can.
Do you track it at all?
I have not tracked it. So we could use our the payroll software to track it. But they struggled with kind of what you start with and how it rolls over and stuff. It just became too complicated. I keep track of my vacation hours in an Excel sheet, but we don't use we don't do it for personal time or sick time. It'd be easy to add. But we currently don't. The other thing, it really doesn't matter to me, but just so you're aware, vehicles provided to managers, the majority of managers are provided a vehicle. I don't anticipate that's something Jacksonville's about to do. So I said no there. Cell phones provided to manager. I think every manager has a cell phone provided. I'm fine with my cell phone being used. People call it, people know me. I would not be thrilled about having to carry a second cell phone. So I'm just saying no. Honestly, when we sit down at the directors meetings, they all have their 2 cell phones out. And I'm like, no, I really don't want that. So the big thing, average salary for manager was like 143 if you remove mine. That obviously we're a small utility. you guys know I did apply to Ludlow. That was 130 to 150. It's it is the industry standard, and I talked to Ken about this. Ken is they're increasing at 4 to 10% per year because of how far behind the utilities in the state of Vermont are. That's just reality of what they're doing. I said 130. I would be comfortable with less than that, but I think from my perspective, I would love to see an increase, but more importantly, in my opinion, is Jacksonville. This is what it's going to take to hire a new manager if anything ever does happen where I need to transition out. And if you're not there, I think this is something Ken brought up when you guys were hiring me, is my understanding, is that that's going to be a tough number to try to get somebody to come in here if we're just not in a competitive position. And so the thought is that it would make sense to begin that transition now while there's time and we have a good staff to begin that transition and make a positive change from that perspective. And then the other one is customer service salary. Amanda's paid 38,500. Industry standards 53. I know we talked about, I think, a 10% possibly in December anyway with her. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was 12% is what I put in here for the immediate change to get her, started in that position, that direction. And then I did 4% per year was what I put in here. Again, that's something that we can transition